Something very important I want to mention is that I'm not the only one to give this presentation. Vittorio Dell'Aquila is my main partner, and he contrived and conceived all the maps, and he's a genius in cartography and map design. And unfortunately, for reasons of logistic, his name was just skipped off. But I'll make the introduction, and then he will take over the cartographic part of this presentation. So now we are going right to southeastern Mexico in the Mazatec region. And the title of this presentation was Popolocan, keelte olukord Lõuna-Mehhikos aastatel 2010 kuni siis meie päevani, eks ole. But actually, in order to make it shorter and more explicit, we will deal only with Mazatec, which is the main Popolocan language. So I will give a new name, a brand new name to this presentation. It will be Mazatec, part of Popolocan, as a Popolocan language, as a multiplex sociolinguistic small world. So Mazatec, to people who are unfamiliar with the linguistic geography of Mesoamerica, the first thing I have to say is that Mazateco is, and the Popolocan languages are part of a huge linguistic stock right in the middle of Mesoamerica. And it ranges from the north of the city of Mexico down to Nicaragua. But most languages of the southern part of the linguistic stock disappeared during colonization. So such languages as, for instance, Chiapanec or the Mangue language in Nicaragua. And now the distribution of this linguistic stock is twofold. The western part, the so-called Oto-Pamean languages here, with Otomi as a very famous language, and the eastern part with Mixtecan, Zapotecan, Chinantecan, and you've probably heard of Mixtecan and Zapotecan because Zapotecan was the language of this region during the Classic era, archaeologically, and the Mixtecan was one of the most important languages of the Federation, the Aztec Mixtecan Federation, before the conquest, so to say, during the post-Classic era. Now, the distribution of languages is in present Mexico takes the shape of a kind of archipelago. Here is the wide distribution of many languages because there are over 7 linguistic stocks in Mesoamerica. So to say, there are more linguistic stocks in Mesoamerica than in whole Africa. Because in Africa, there are only 4 linguistic stocks, whereas here we have between 7 linguistic stocks and 2 isolates, Purépecha and Muave. So here you see the map designed by Vittorio. Here you have the city of Mexico, and here you have the city of Oaxaca, the state of Oaxaca, where are located most Eastern Otomanguean languages, but this is a geographic map, but if you look at the density, not only the coverage of the linguistic area, but if you take into account the population actually speaking the language and the gradients, the grade of and the rate of vitality, you get such a map as this one, in which the archipelago keeps shrinking, and actually we can say that nowadays, most indigenous languages of Mexico are endangered at the degree of vulnerability. And so when you see the red spots, you have vulnerable languages, and the more you drive to yellow, you go to the verge of extinction. And another very important thing about this archipelago within an isthmus is that the structure, the geographical distribution is molecular. You know, it looks like a molecule. Most of the languages are scattered, and you have pockets. And Popolocan languages lay here in this great triangle of we have here like 250 or 300 kilometers from east to west, and here about 100 kilometers. And Mazatec is here. So Mazatec is in contact. Mazatec has 250,000 speakers, 250,000. So it has a strong critical mass, which makes it, in spite of its vulnerability, it still makes of it a kind of small power. It's petite puissance. And the Mazatec is in contact, happens to be in contact with Nahuatl, which has 1 million speakers, and but which is Uto-Aztecan, that is from a different linguistic stock. And Mazatec is in contact with other Ottomangan languages, very different. So as, for instance, Punjabi and Welsh, or Estonian and Nenets. Difference, though languages are so close together geographically, the structural distance is enormous. So such languages as Chinanteco and languages more akin, more close structurally, such as Mixteco and Cuitcateco. Something important here, we have a map designed by Vittorio dell'Aquila, part of what we call ALMAZ, Atlas Linguistico Mazateco, but the abbreviation sounds very nice because I was told that ALMAZ in Russian means diamond, and and we do think that Mazateco is a kind of linguistic diamond. But here we have the display of the localities. There are 12 localities which have been surveyed in the 60s by Paul Livingstone-Kirk. So we took over the data of his PhD dissertation with 785 cognates and dispatched over these 12 localities, 12 varieties. And we worked out a kind of virtual electronic atlas out of this data. But what we are doing now is to systematically revisit this data, and we are trying to make a broader survey and visiting new dialects or dialects which have not been documented up to now. A very important point is to mention that although we can say there are nearly 12 Mazatec languages, Mazatec is so diversified that we can consider it is a kind of small linguistic family within the subfamily of Popolocan languages, within the sub-stock of Eastern Ottomangan and etc. Actually, there are probably 25 varieties, discrete varieties of Mazatec, and nevertheless, this is a very interesting point, everyone consider they speak Mazatec. There is no doubt about the unity of the language, and in spite of the problems of intelligibility, because people from San Miguel Soyaltepec in the lowlands here can hardly understand people from San Lorenzo, a very peculiar dialect spoken in the northwestern highlands. So here we have the localities and the extension we are going to give to the Almaz. And the reason why I'm so keen on mentioning the Almaz and the project is that most of the insights we can provide about Mazatec sociolinguistics flow from our experience doing fieldwork elicitation. So we're not talking from the abstract, out of the blue, but we are living with people doing for months, doing elicitation, but also organizing workshops in order to advise school teachers, bilingual school teachers in teaching their language, and not only for alphabetization, but also for any topic, any curricular topic such as history, geography, mathematics. Here is the subdivisions of the Mazatec area, the lowlands with a lake here, which is artificial. It's a dam. It's the result of technocracy, we could say. So it drowned completely the microfundio area, an area where the peasants were owners of their crops, something which is very rare in Mexico. So people were lucky to have their own crop, and not anymore. In the 50s, this area was totally locked up by the army, and people was deported. The population of the lowlands were deported to the villages around, which grew consequently, and they were also displaced to other states, such as Veracruz. So this disturbed quite nastily the society and the patterns of settlements, and also the material and culture and sociability which had dominated the area for centuries. Whereas the highland, the region of the highland is more stable and is still, as you see, has a very dense population, many urban centers and small communities. Each of these small spots amount to more or less 1,000 inhabitants. So here you have a few photos, and I will pass the word to Vittorio dell'Aquila. But here we have a few pictures of the highlands, just in order to have a look, to make it more concrete, not so abstract. Here are some slums in the Huautla region. It's important to know that people over there are very poor, and there are very bitter problems of discrimination, socio-economical discrimination. So here you have more of the highlands, and actually all these photographs are taken in order to give a hint at the diversity of landscapes, and which entail as well diversity of crops and specializations. You see, these mountains are not exactly the same than a few slides ago, and but we can't enter into those details. Now let's have a quick look at the, we were looking at the highlands. Now we will be looking at the lake, the dam, and the lowlands. Here you have a village close to the lake, to the artificial lake. Here you see the small islands are not islands, actually. Originally there were hills, the tops of the hills, and so all the area has been completely overwhelmed by this enormous project, hydroelectric. But there is no drinking water available in the villages around. So you see how the state is missing in its mission. So it served the industry, but it didn't serve the people to make such a big positivistic project. So here you have a few slides of people resisting. They're still living on the top of the hill, and the army could not control them, and they just gave up the few rebels who stayed but lived miserably in those islands. And here, especially the old town of San Miguel Soyaltepec has been resisting. And here you see the church and the village with these are the streets, and you have no road to get into the urban center. You must walk on small paths on the hill. And here we have the Jalapa, the region of Jalapa, which lays here. This is this bigger spot here in what can be called the plain, which is a kind of small plateau within the lowland regions. And so it's pretty hot. And look, well, there are nearly, you have 40 degrees in the summer, but you might ask, well, if we have 40 degrees in the summer, why do we see so much chopped wood? Well, because people have no very small delivery of electricity and no gas facilities, and so they use it for cooking, not for heating, of course. So I give the word now to Vittorio. He looks like a genius, he talks like a genius, but don't let that fool you. He really is a genius.
Of course, he's the boss. He's the real boss. So I'm allowed to speak about 2.5 minutes, I suppose. 2 minutes and a half. No, not because for her, because of him. I will try not to speak so fast. Okay, of course, he controls my time. Well, take a look to a couple of pictures. We have decided to superpose linguistic maps to socioeconomical data out of the censuses of Mexico. Well, we had a lot of variables. We could understand more variables. We have just analyzed a couple, 10, 15 variables. This is the basis map. This basis map, we have seen the region before. We have an area with the name of H. It means the area in which the language is highly spoken. The area L means the language is almost dead. And ML and MH means in between. So it's more than 2/3 of the population uses the language, less than 1/4 L. And ML means between less than half and more than 1/4, and MH up to more than 50%. So this is the first map, the general map. It's the Spanish Índice de Desarrollo Humano, as in English it's called Human Development Index, going from 0 to 1. 1 is normally in Scandinavia, Northern Europe, while 0 is not possible at the moment in the world. So we have very different situation. Almost Southern European situation, lowland, and non-speaking, and we can say third world situation in the middle of the indigenous language speaking area. Demographic. How big are families? We have big families over here. A medium village with about almost 5% of every family, so 2 parents and 3 children. Interesting enough is this region. Normally in Europe we have the idea that small families means more richer countries, instead bigger families, poorer country. But here we have a division inside the area in which the language is spoken. We have a traditional but bigger village in which there are a lot of children, and traditional with lots of children, because only all the people are living there, and they emigrate to the biggest town here or outside, completely outside. So here we have a comparison between same thing, yeah. Population between 15 and 29. No young people over here in the small villages. Young people try to go to the city and get some job. Here you have the railways. You see that the railways, around the railways, the language is dead, almost. Same thing. And all the people, elderly people, same thing. So that's important here, this area, inside, could be a kind of core area of the language, the future of the languages here, not here. And also the dialect spoken here would be a kind of, could develop as lingua franca, since people go there, many go back.
Jalapa.
Jalapa, yeah. We have seen before, wood. So in the green area, the H area, almost everything is cooked on wood. About half in the city. So they have got electricity over there, not in the center. Well, there was a picture, but we don't have time to showing how you get electricity there. You just put some cable on the lines and you get your electricity. Well, like tortilla, of course. Okay, so, but even if you get, well, let's say usuarios, so the official register users of electricity, but maybe there are many more, just not officially registered, but still it gives an idea about what happens. Alphabetization, and I will give back the word to my boss. You see, this little village in which more than half the population can't read or write, and urbanized areas in which literacy is quite developed. Come on. In this area, there are schools in the local languages. It's interesting here to see, well, the proportion. The circles are population, and the squares are classes, schools in the language. You see that there are no schools here, and instead small villages like this one or this one have a lot of schools. It's interesting here, in this area, this conservative area with all elderly people, no school are available. So whether they go to other villages or they don't have any school, not Spanish, not any school. Come on, and finish.
Yeah, they do have some school.
Yes, come on, finish your conclusions.
Oh, it's still your turn.
Yes, you have got 2 minutes time. That's blocked, of course.
Oh, yeah, because it's locked, so, well, I'm kind of, okay. No, it works.
No. Okay, let's go. We don't have to speak about that.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have time, we have 2 minutes.
I have a very short time. Well, this is cladistics, and this is the result of a survey of 35 items of the database, and it gives very reliable results and fresh results as far as the subdivisions of the Mazatec dialect network is concerned. So this is for phonology, and the main thing is the equivalence, the subdivision, the bipartition, or the dichotomy between the lowlands on the one hand, with yellow or orange, and as opposed to the highlands. So here the green area of Huautla, a very strong, important city in the heart of the highlands, and a more peripheral area, which is the one of Mazatlan, San Jerónimo Tecoat, and San Lorenzo. So here you have the bipartition and further subdivisions. What is interesting is to fathom the traditional sociolinguistic networks out of the taxonomy provided by cladistic analysis. And to change the point of view, if you take morphophonology, for instance, in verb inflection, you get this map, which gives, according to the colors, as you can see here, the unity of Mazatec dialects is enhanced in this vision of things. Here we are studying the... Wow.
This should be yellow, it's green here. This is yellow, this orange.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry for this discrepancy, yeah, because I see plain yellow here, yeah. And so, going very quickly...
No yellow here.
No, okay. And here you have an equivalence within, it's the choice of preverbs, because Mazatec, as Slavic languages, have aspectual preverbs, okay, such as vypit, dopit, zapit, etc. So this is the difference between the lexical choices of preverbs according to the dialect, and this tends as well towards a greater unity than subdivisions. This means that standardization is possible, and what is currently being tried is to work out 4 varieties of literary varieties for Mazatec, and we're working on it with the people. So I'm going to the conclusion. The conclusion is, I would say that, well, we should go back to fieldwork and back to social criticism. Because back to fieldwork, because as a matter of fact, Mazatec has been one of the most seminal, decisive languages in modern linguistics. Mazatec was first described in 1947 by Eunice and Kenneth Pike. The structure of constituency in syllable, Mazatec syllable, was a breakthrough and a landmark in the history of phonology. And then later on, in 1948, Kenneth Pike published Tone Languages, which for very long was considered as the main course book in tonology and in the study of tone in relation to grammar. And we could carry on with examples of how Mazatec was seminal for modern linguistics. Now, the paradox and the problem the issue I want to point out is that we're alone doing fieldwork nowadays. No one else is working on or having a project of whatsoever on Mazatec, considering it's not an endangered language. And although it's part of a configuration of Popolocan languages, in which most other Popolocan languages are on the verge of extinction, and Mazatec is still a small power, as I said at the beginning. So I suggest that when working on endangered languages, we should get rid of such prejudices as what is an endangered, classically endangered language according to which criteria? The UNESCO criteria, while most of the time they don't dive so deeply in the socio-economical and political parameters as we've been doing during this presentation. So that's why we point out back to social criticism. So I will ask also, for whom does the piper play? You know what is a piper? You know, a musician who plays cornemuse, you know, and while in the feast, and while someone pays him to have the people enjoy the feast. And while Mazatec has been described, as I told you, by Kenneth Pike, decisively out of a broader project, which was the Bible, the translation of the Bible by the Summer Institute of Linguistics. So why no one nowadays is working on Mazatec, though there are hundreds and over 1,000 of schoolmasters, bilingual schoolmasters, who are desperate on trying to learn how to teach their language, because the state doesn't provide any training and capacitation into teaching Mazatec, which is such a different language typologically that you can't cope with Mazatec grammar only with your knowledge of Spanish grammar. So because languages are as different as Chinese and Estonian. So I wanted to point out this problem, and I will recall what Louis-Jean Calvet recently said in an international conference. 40 years ago, Louis-Jean Calvet was defending small languages, and he wrote a beautiful book whose title was The Language Wars, and which has been translated into many languages. 40 years later, Louis-Jean Calvet says that the language death is just something inevitable. It's a fate, it's a fatality. And as we can't impede tree leaves to fall in autumn, while we can't impede languages to disappear, well, actually, as we saw, the areas of Mazatec and the sub-languages within the Mazatec dialect network, which are disappearing, are not disappearing as tree leaves are falling from trees. They are disappearing out of history, a history of power and relations of power. So I would say that power shift goes with language shift. And so there has been a power shift in Mesoamerica for many languages upon a void of power, a void of empowerment of the communities, and a void of implication, commitment on behalf and from the linguists. So we have a very great responsibility as linguists. Many communities are demanding and calling us for advices, not from out of paternalism. It's a partnership. And so I want to say that the work we're doing is very humble, very modest, and but very gratifying. It's very beautiful to be a linguist and working on endangered languages, and we have a responsibility. And we should be sometimes perhaps more critical about powers, and try to to commit more ourselves to language empowerment and political empowerment as well of small communities. And that's it.